Hello, today we will be introducing our final presentation of our team project. We decided to go with a hypothetical, and that is opening up a new branch of the Youth Outreach Services. Our project team consists of me, Camille Naumovich, Ellen Deasy, Lisa Jones, and Ian Schaefer. So getting started with the project charter. The project's mission is to find and lease a building that will house a new branch of the Chicago Youth Outreach Services. This new branch will provide a space for at-risk Chicago youth to take part in extracurricular activities. This location will also provide counseling of all degrees for the youth. The project description is that this project will create a safe space for at-risk youth to congregate and receive assistance and guidance. At a high level, the project will be broken down into sub-projects. The high-level deliverables are number 1, funding, number 2, pragmatic location, number 3, building lease, number 4, design, equipped, and furnished space, and number 5, staff. Continuing on with the project charter, we're going to be going over the objectives. And the objective of this project is to create a youth outreach center whose costs will stay within the allocated funds provided by either the state or federal government. Fundraising via crowdfunding and corporate sponsors is also on the table. And the three goals that will allow the project to stay within budget are number 1, secure proper funding from either state or federal government. Number 2 would be finding a suitable building that will fit the budget. And 3 would be staffing the branch within budget. So you're probably wondering, do we really need a new branch for the Chicago Youth Outreach Services? And we think we do, and we believe that this project should be initiated because there's a large number of Chicago youth that are in need of youth outreach. The sole purpose of the Youth Outreach Services is to help these at-risk youth and to guide them towards a bright and fulfilling future. And this probably goes without saying, but by investing in our youth, we will secure not only their futures, but also Chicago's future as a whole. Okay, moving on to the milestones of the project. Our first milestone will be to develop a proposal for funding. Number 2 will be to meet with city, state, and or federal representatives. Number 3 will be to secure funding. Number four will be complete research to determine the most underserved area. Number 5 will be to locate a suitable building. And number 6 will be to secure a lease. Moving on, then we could design a floor plan, furnish the location. Number 9 would be set up computers and internet. Number 10 will be to conduct employee interviews. Number 11 would be hire staff and train them. And number 12 will be the grand opening. Okay, moving on to budget. Our estimated labor is 20,000. Our estimated materials is 10,000. Our estimated contractors is 5,000. Our estimated equipment and facilities will be 120,000. Our estimated travel will be 5,000, and this will sum up to a total estimated cost of $160,000. Our user acceptance criteria will be the minimum success criteria as defined by our key stakeholders will be an operable youth outreach center. The project quality will be monitored and measured by reaching milestones on time and on budget. Okay, moving on to our high-level project assumptions. Our first assumption is that city, state, and or federal representatives will review the project proposal. The second assumption is that adequate funding will be allocated for the project. Number 3 is that research will determine an optimal location for the new branch. Number 4, an adequate building will be found and leased. Number 5, the new space will need minimum reconfiguration. Number 6, furniture vendors will provide everything required at a reasonable cost. Number 7, qualified candidates will be hired for the wage the organization is able to pay. And number 8, computers will be equipped with adequate software for day-to-day operations. So we identified seven major risks for this project. The first risk is that proper funding will not be allocated for this project. The second one is that there might be legal disputes with the property owners. Number three is that the lease is terminated. Number four is that there is a lack of qualified employees during the hiring process. Number five is that the vendor is unable to provide furniture. Number six is that computers and related service do not serve the branch requirements. And number seven is that the researched optimal location is not valid. Okay, so that wraps up our project charter, and now it's time to go into a little bit more detail with our project scope statement. The purpose of our project is to open up a new branch of the Chicago Youth Outreach Services. The project will be broken down into five sub-projects. The sub-projects are: number one, funding. The project team will develop a proposal and reach out to city, state, and/or federal representatives. After said officials respond, meetings will be set up either in person or via teleconferencing. Selling the project will be a crucial step so as to maximize the amount of money available. A fundraiser will also be enacted through a crowdfunding website. We will attempt to reach out to corporate sponsors as well. Number two, determining location. The project team will conduct research to determine what would be an optimal location for the new branch. This research will include reaching out to Chicago officials and the Census Bureau to obtain the required statistics for determining this location. Number three, leasing the building. Once an optimal location is determined, the project team will locate a suitable building that will house the new branch. This new location will need to meet safety requirements, uh, provide handicap access, provide proper bathrooms, and provide adequate access to electricity and internet. It is also crucial that this building is in good standing in terms of condition and property ownership. The team will then negotiate the lease with the property owner. Number four, design, equip, and furnish the space. When the building is leased, the project team will hire outside contractors to design, equip, and furnish the space. The design of the floor plan is a critical step and will require the input of both the contractor and also the project team. Once a floor plan is approved, the furniture and technical equipment can be ordered. The last step is to move in all the furniture and equipment and figure out the logistics in regards to IT requirements. Number five, hiring staff. The last step in this project will be staffing the new branch. This will require asking a representative from the customer to collaborate with the project management team. Since youth counselors need to meet certain criteria, it is crucial that there is a vetting process. The project management team will also hire contractors to conduct background screens and drug tests on all incoming hires. Okay, moving on to project deliverables. Our first one will be a funding proposal. Our second one will be a crowdfunding website. Our third one will be a research report. Number four will be a building lease. Number five will be a building floor plan. Number six will be an equipped building. Number seven will be a furnished building. And number eight will be qualified and trained staff. Okay, moving on to project objectives. The objective of this project is to create a youth outreach center whose costs will stay within the allocated funds provided by the city, state, and/or federal government. Another objective will be to open the center by the 17th of June of this year. Three goals that will allow the project to stay within the $160,000 budget are: number one, securing proper funding from the city, state, and/or federal government by the 28th of February of this year. Number two will be to find a suitable building that will fit the budget by the 31st of March. And number three will be to staff the branch within budget by the 31st of April. Okay, as with any project, this one will have some constraints, and we did identify seven. The first one is the amount of money granted by the sponsor. Number two is defining what a suitable building would be. Number three is determining which neighborhood needs this service the most. Number four is finding a reliable building owner who is willing to lease. Number 5 is finding qualified counselors. Number 6 is finding qualified extracurricular activity coordinators. And number 7, the law requires that background checks and drug tests are conducted to ensure safety of the youth. Okay, now we can move on to the exclusions of this project, and this will prevent us from, suffering from any scope creep once we move into the execution phase. So we identified 8 exclusions. Number 1 being this location will not be providing full meals to the youth being served. Number 2 is this location will not staff a psychiatrist. Number 3 is this location will not have a rock climbing wall. Number 4 is that this location will not have a pool. Number 5 is this location will not have a library. Number 6 is this location will not provide public computers. Number 7 is this location will not be in an affluent neighborhood. And number 8, this location will not be in an area that is not reachable by public transit. Okay, and to wrap up our scope statement, we're going to be talking about technical requirements, and there is yet to be a determined number of modern computers and printers that will be required for this new branch. A high-speed internet connection will also be required. Okay, so that completes our scope statement, and now we're going to move on to the risk register. And the first risk that we identified is insufficient funding for the project. And this could have a very high impact on it, but fortunately, the probability is very low, which puts it in the yellow risk ranking. And what we could do to be proactive about preventing this risk from happening is allocating funds for the project at the highest priority. Um, so something that might trigger this lack of funds would be schedule conflicts with our potential sponsors for the project. And what we could do if this happens is we could shift our focus to producing a marketing campaign to boost donations through a crowdfunding platform. And we'll move on to our second risk is would be a invalid location. And that would happen if the researched optimal location for the new branch is invalid. And this could have a very high impact on the project, but fortunately, it is also of a very low probability, which puts it in the yellow risk ranking. So what we could do is we could be very we could we could try very hard on securing dependable resources for the research through vetting. Unfortunately, what might trigger this event to happen is a slip in judgment in regard to trusting a source. And what we could do is we could completely scrap whatever research we did and actually go third party and hire an independent firm to conduct the research for us. The third risk that we identified is hiring issues, and this has to do with a lack of qualified employees. And this could also have a very high impact on our project, and the probability is low, which puts it in the risk ranking of yellow. And what we could do to be proactive about this is we could send a widespread notification about the new branch and its need of employees. If this does fall through and we fail to alert potential employees, what we could do is elongate the interviewing window and select better channels for marketing the hiring event. Okay, moving on to the lease. We might run into some legal issues with the property owner, which could lead to the lease being terminated. This would have a very high impact on the project, but the probability is, around medium, which also puts it in the risk ranking of yellow. So what we could do to be proactive about this is conduct research on the building owner to determine whether or not he is in good standing as far as property ownership goes. And we could, if this doesn't work out and the building owner provides us with inaccurate or false information, we could completely cut ties with that building owner and we could proceed to locate a new building with a new lease. So the fifth risk that we identified has to do with the furnishing of the building, and that would be our vendor is unable to deliver and or provide furniture on time. And the impact of this would be low. The probability is very low, so that would put it in the risk ranking of green. So what we could do is to be proactive about this is conduct research to determine a trustworthy vendor for the furniture. Similar to the building owner, if the furniture vendor provides us with inaccurate or false information, we could actually cut ties with the furniture vendor and find a new one. And the last risk that we identified is IT issues, and the description of this would be computer and related systems do not serve branch requirements. The impact of this would be medium. The probability would be very low, which puts it in a green risk ranking. And what we could do to be proactive about this is use existing branches and their IT setups as a template when setting up our own IT systems. And one trigger that we might run into it is if the new building that we're moving into doesn't provide us with the hard lines we need for IT systems. So what we could do to resolve this issue is we could reach out to local internet service providers so they could, wire the building properly for us. Okay, so now to move on to the Gantt chart. Here we just broke down exactly what tasks need to be completed, their start dates and their end dates, their duration, and also what team members were assigned to complete them. Okay, and this is the second part of our Gantt chart. Over here, you'll actually be able to see more visually how long these tasks are supposed to take. And you'll actually be able to see how some of them overlap as well, just to maximize our efficiency and our ability to fit this project within the given time frame. Okay, we're moving on to our communication plan. This is part one, and with this, you'll be able to see the name of our meetings, the purpose of the meetings, the frequency, the time, the duration, the location, the meeting organizer, and also who will be invited to these meetings. Okay, we're moving on to our communication plan. This is part one, and with this, you'll be able to see the name of our meetings, the purpose of the meetings, the frequency, the time, the duration, the location, the meeting organizer, and also who will be invited to these meetings. So this is okay, so that completes our project. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and I just wanted to thank everybody in my team for contributing. Thank you very much.